episode 88 of the Wingin' It podcast. I am Alex. We have a full house today. We got both Ali and Drew in the house, but man, I kind of have a feeling they both don't want to be here. I don't even know if I really want to be here after a crushing 16-33 loss against Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We got a lot to break down. We got to talk about our quarterback. We got to talk about our head coaching situation. We got to talk about some of the things that we're seeing in social media. But before we do that, if you are not following us on Instagram, make sure you give us a follow at winging.it.pod. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Facebook, Snail Mail, anywhere you want to listen and engage with us. Please feel free to give us a follow. Ali, Drew, Ali, it's good to see you again, man. It's been a few weeks. How have you been? And how excited are you to jump into this episode today?
Yeah, welcome back, Ali.
Thanks, Drew. Thanks, guys. It's great to be back. It's been a couple of weeks of travel for work for me, but I have stayed close. I was in a company meeting with my phone out, playing YouTube TV, watching the ESPN Monday Night Football game against the Falcons. I'm excited to get back to this because, frankly, our win last week was a significant one. Because to me, winning hides a lot of your flaws, and losses sort of expose a lot of the things that you wanted to kind of hide throughout the week. So I'm excited to get into this week and break down what happened against the Buccaneers. And really look at what this team truly is from a trend perspective, because we are 4 weeks into the season, and I know that NFL players and coaches usually look at the season in quarters and kind of identify trends that way. And if you can look at it, we're not trending so hot right now. So I'm excited to get into this episode and really look at what the future looks for us. Drew, what do you think?
We're 2-2. So I suppose it's not the worst situation that a team could be in. And if we're looking at a team in quarters, and let's just say this is our worst quarter of the season, then 2-2 isn't that bad. Can only go up from here. I hated that entire game. I can't remember. I mean, I want to say I can't remember a game that I hated watching as much, but I could probably just look at the same exact, going against the same team last year in the playoffs, where we also got our butts handed to us. We'll get into the injuries, and obviously, we didn't have a full, we didn't have our normal cast of characters, but this game was as hard to watch as any game I've ever watched, where even though the Eagles were down big, which was a very, very annoying way to start the game, any single time that there was an opportunity for us to just try to make some sort of semblance of a comeback, we would do something to shoot ourselves in the foot. And as an Eagles fan, you want to find some hope as you're watching a game, and you couldn't find an ounce of it. So, brutal game.
All right, Drew. We're gonna do our little segment here. 2 up, 2 down. I feel like I could just give.
How about 4 down and 4 down?
Yeah.
Alex and Andrews, 2 up, 2 down.
All right. I'll kick us off. There is not a lot to look at that game and give any ups. And I was about to throw a curveball and just say, you know what, Drew, we're just going to do downs today. But I do have a few that I think that we can give. I think the first up, and I think this is a unanimous one, I think it is probably the biggest thing that we have to look forward to is that the Eagles do not play this weekend. And more than likely, heading into week, I guess what would that be, 6, we will have a fully healthy offensive roster. AJ Brown's already dropping some absolute bangers on social media. I don't know if you saw the Joker video that he's posting or anything like that, but he is primed and ready to come back. And Lord knows that we need him on that offense. Any commentary on the ups? I mean, on the bye week or anything like that? I think it's a fairly simple one to agree with on that.
We need it in the worst way. We need bodies. We need these guys healthy. We need a just change of mentality. So, yeah, typically week 5, not when I would choose to have a bye. I want to watch the team play, and I want the team to be well rested later in the season. But they need it right now because I think just from a mentality standpoint, they need another week to try to come back strong.
Yeah. What about you, Ellie?
Yeah, well, let's continue into it because I think a bye can certainly help a team. But some of the feedback from Jalen Hurts when he was asked about what he plans on doing, how he plans on coordinating with Nick. I'm not feeling too good about the prospects moving forward.
All right, and then the second up I have, it's really just two standout performances. Saquon Barkley, the fact that he only got the ball 10 times is so ridiculous. And our head coach's commentary after the game is also ridiculous. It's like, well, we went 3 and out, so of course he's not going to touch the ball and everything. Like, dude, you're just a clown, an absolute clown. Like, just what an awful answer to give there. And if anyone saw it, don't even look back at it. He just gave a whole bunch of word salad. But Saquon Barkley, 10 rushes, 84 yards, 8.4 yard average, and a long run to 59 yards to basically break out the half. And then looking on our defensive side of the ball, this Q guy, Quinton Mitchell, is Quinyon. Sorry.
Put some respect on that man's name.
Yeah, my bad. I just been calling him Q, honestly. So Quinyon Mitchell has been an absolute force. I think he had 2 pass breakups. He was on Mike Evans, had 6 solo tackles. The game should have been down by way more. But Q has actually done a really good job and stepped up into there. So besides that, I don't have any two other performances that I'm looking at, and I'm just saying, oh, these guys absolutely lit it up. I think the downs will be a little bit more passionate part of the episode, but if I'm looking at it, Saquon and Q definitely had some good games. I'm starting to believe that if Saquon actually never came to Philadelphia, we may actually be 0-4 right now, but that's just I'm just going to take that scenario out of my head.
Or maybe we'd have one win because he would have caught somebody else would have caught the ball at the end of the Falcons game.
I mean, considering he's scored most of our touchdowns, that's a very fair statement.
Yeah, absolutely.
I interrupted you, oddly. Sorry about that. What were you getting ready to say right there?
No, I was saying considering he scored most of our touchdowns, that's a fair statement to say.
Yeah. Alex, I'm probably just going to piggyback off of you here just for my first down as well, just because I feel like every week we kind of just keep seeing like the same thing like once a game. So it's like there's a Quinyon pass breakup that like makes me think, oh yeah, great pick. Oh, only a good player would get his hand in the right spot there. He did. He had a great defensive play against Mike Evans in the end zone. And then I think I don't know if it was Sterling Shepard or Trey Palmer, but one of the Bucs scrub receivers, Quinyon actually he didn't make the play. The receiver caught the ball. So I was like, go figure. Mike, he breaks up a Mike Evans play, but then this no-name guy comes down with the pass. So yeah, every week we see a Quinyon play. Every week we see Brandon Graham with like a sack or maybe a sack that gets called back because we got a penalty, but nonetheless he still gets after the quarterback. Maybe there's like a Nakobe Dean play early in the game. Maybe there's a Jalen Carter batted ball. But like other than that, it's the same garbage every week. Like, oh, Bryce Huff actually had a tackle. Like I saw Bryce Huff tackle a running back, and I'm like, whoa, the tide is turning. No, everything sucked. Darius Slay, Darius, full name Slay, suck. Gardner Johnson sucked. We suck. We fucking suck.
Hey, is this still the up version of this segment? Is this the up section?
Oh yeah, I forgot. I totally forgot I was supposed to be on ups right now. So yeah, good pass deflection, Quinyon. Thanks, bud. And Brandon Graham, good to see you still got it at 49 years old when nobody else on our defensive line can get after the quarterback. My other up would Saquon had he had that great run to start the second half. He had a really great play where I think a corner tried tackling him and he basically just threw the corner off of him, which is pretty cool. We had the the great blocked extra point that we brought back for 2 points to make it a 14-point game. Yeah. Again, just enough to be like, okay, all right, this game's not over. 2 possessions. We can get lucky here. But what am I supposed to do? Like, oh, cool, Paris Campbell. Like, thanks for the 3 or 4 catches. It's just like there's so little to be excited about from this game. So sorry if that was a struggle for me to to find some ups for you guys.
Yeah, get into it, Ali. What do you think?
I mean, Quinyon Mitchell is truly cementing himself as one of the elite cornerbacks in this league in his rookie season. And the fact that he kept doing his job when pretty much the entire team quit tells you something about his personality as well. He doesn't want to lose. He doesn't want to lose on an individual level. Obviously, he doesn't want to lose at a team level, but the fact that he kept staying at it, defending these passes that were coming towards him, I think he's cementing himself as someone I truly respect in the NFL.
Where did he go to college again? Some
Toledo.
Right? Toledo.
Yeah, Toledo. Let's get into the downs. This whole thing is starting off very somber, and it doesn't. We should be getting angry. My first one, and I'm actually going to frame these questions as the downs. And the first question is, where's Cooper DeJean? Why is Avonte Maddox still playing? Why is Darius Slay so bad at football still? What are we doing with our defensive backs right now? This is just an absolute disaster. And to see Avonte Maddox, again, just missing tackles, getting penalties called. Cooper DeJean is out there catching punt returns. Darius Slay is out there getting burned. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is just absolute burnt toast out there. What is going on in the backfield, and where are these rookies, these all-star rookies that we're drafting really high in the draft? Where the heck are they, guys?
That was nice of you to say that Cooper DeJean is catching punt returns, because my man didn't even have an opportunity, because either somebody's getting pushed into him or we're running into him.
Did you see that Isaiah Rodgers interview afterwards?
Yeah, he thought he was being like a sly, sneaky veteran. He thought it was a savvy veteran move. Fucking sorry. I'm just like,
bro.
This whole team is so dumb, man.
And, I mean, that's we'll get into coaching, right? I really hope we get into coaching. AJ in the comments, thoughts on the way off chance Eagles pull the trigger and trade Raiders for Adams.
We don't need them. Another offensive weapon isn't going to do anything, AJ. I don't.
This past week, it would have been great for this week, but like if AJ is coming back, then like that's probably one of the the least of our worries at this point.
Where's the rookie at, Ali?
Yeah, I mean, Cooper DeJean is either not showing that he's a capable cornerback or nickel corner.
Neither's Avonte Maddox.
No, what I'm saying is in practice, right? Like coaches are going to make this call during practice throughout the week. Granted, Avonte Maddox, like I don't know how much Vic Fangio needs to continue to see in game to realize like the dude is cooked, man. He's slower than he ever was. He's finding himself just, first of all, can no one tackle on this defense? So put that aside. Avonte Maddox can't tackle. He can't keep up with receivers. He can't defend the pass well. He has very low reaction or very high reaction speed when it comes to identifying run versus pass. Like, I don't know what more Vic Fangio needs to see before, dude, forget Cooper DeJean. Anyone instead of Avonte Maddox. Put Isaiah Rodgers in that position. I don't know what he's still doing as a starting nickel corner.
Yeah, and I mean, my only guess with Cooper DeJean, like I get it, he's a rookie, and not everyone's Quinyon Mitchell who can just step right in, or like a guy like Patrick Surtain, who I feel like has just been an absolute stud ever since he got into the league. Let's not get into Kyle Hamilton again. He's a safety, but Kyle Hamilton, again, we passed up on so we could draft Jordan Davis, who is what? He's not a game changer. He's not a difference maker. He's definitely not Kyle Hamilton. So with Cooper DeJean, I know he had a hamstring injury. I know he was out maybe the first 2 weeks. So like, okay, maybe between him being a rookie, between him just, easing back in. But I agree. Like, and to be honest, I kind of liked Avonte Maddox, like in the past. I know he's always kind of been riddled by injury, but he did enough as a nickel corner for me to be like, yeah, like I thought that 1 year, bringing him back for a year this year was a great move. But I mean, that missed tackle on Chris Godwin it looked like a cartoon. It didn't even I can't believe he just missed him like it wasn't even like he put like a big move on him. He just whiffed. So I don't know. I hope as the season goes on, we see more of what Cooper DeJean can be. But yeah, I don't know. It does seem like anything at this point would be better than Avonte Maddox.
Yeah. And my second down is going to be another question is, would you bring back Doug Peterson as the head coach for the Philadelphia Eagles again? Here's an interesting stat, and I read this on the on our podcast page, Instagram page yesterday into a reel, and I want to hear your reactions because I haven't heard your thoughts on this. But on the Eagles' last 11 games, the record is 3-8. They allowed 310 points to be scored. They scored 218. So the math there is a negative 92 point differential. On the Eagles' last 11 games under Doug Peterson, the same 3-8 record, 221 points scored, 273 allowed, and that's a negative 52 point differential. So the Eagles over the last 11 games are performing worse than they did under Doug EP, and we ran him out of town. Are we ready to pull the plug on Nick Sirianni? Are we too impatient? Are we, too much on the hook for instant gratification? Do we try to go get Bill Belichick? What are your thoughts on this? I have some, but I want to hear you first, Drew.
My first answer is I absolutely do not want Doug Peterson. Why would I want the head coach of a team that looks like the worst team in the NFL right now? The Jacksonville Jaguars are 0-4. They have Trevor Lawrence, who was the number 1 overall pick. They look awful. Yeah. And, I don't think that you can just take like this point differential stat over the last 11 games and just like basic comparison off of that. It is pretty alarming over those past 11 games that the Eagles are minus 90 or whatever, especially when I feel like over, how it feels like it's been forever since we've even like beat a team by more than like 3 or 4 points. It feels like every single win we have, we just barely squeak by. I do feel like I'm at a point where I'm just like over Nick Sirianni and I will like take literally anything. But I feel like that's also not a mature decision. That's a very reactive decision. I don't know what Sirianni does for this team. You brought up before the word salad, not the word salad, his word salad. When he is speaking at press conferences, I was driving in my car, I was listening to 97.5 The Fanatic the other day, and I'm like listening to his entire press conference. Like they're asking him about the identity of this team, and he's like, oh, well, the identity is hard work and accountability. Stupid answer. Also because like, yeah, you don't have any sort of like actual team identity, like as to what you actually look like on a football field week to week. And the way the way that this guy can talk in circles is absolutely infuriating. I don't expect like head coaches to like call it all the time like they see it, but like this dude seems like he should be coaching at the highest level a high school football team. The way that he talks, the way that he addresses the media, it seems like he would be good at talking. He's not a leader of men. He is a leader he could be a leader of children. He's not a leader of men. So Bill Belichick, I'm intrigued by. I don't know if that's the answer. I like it as a talking point. It would be interesting. But man, like just I've tried so hard to like Nick. I wish that I could like put my eggs in that basket, because it's not like coaches are easy to like, just pick them off the streets. Oh, new coach, successful. It doesn't work like that. So I don't know. Yeah, man. Ali, what about you?
I agree with you, Drew. AJ said hell no on Bill. He was the mid coach before Brady and mid to lesser after. Honestly, AJ, I agree with that statement. Bill Belichick hasn't been able to find lightning in a bottle twice, and it's really easy to call yourself the greatest of all time when it comes to coaching. When your
here's some trivia. What team did Bill Belichick coach before he went to New England? Yeah, Cleveland Browns. And everybody knows the legacy of the Cleveland Browns. They've never been a good football team. Go on.
Whereas on the other side of that, Big Red, I would argue he's got a play for the greatest coach of all time, because look at who he coached. He coached Donovan McNabb, Kevin Kolb, Michael Vick, Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes. Now, granted, Patrick Mahomes is cementing himself as one of the greatest of all times, but he has consistently shown up in the biggest moments as a head coach, regardless of who is under center. I kind of agree with that statement, right? I don't think Bill Belichick is the answer, and at the same time, I don't think Nick Sirianni is the answer here either. And whew, you're getting me all fired up right now because honestly, coaching has been one of the biggest issues that I've had with this organization in the last 2 years. I remember in the 2022 run, Alex and I continued to talk about how the Super Bowl window is really small. It's really tight. You've got a quarterback on their rookie contract. You've got kind of like you've hit the Goldilocks zone, right? Everything is just about right on this team. And since our Super Bowl run, what we've seen is an offensive coordinator who, I mean, did a really dumb thing this past Sunday with Anthony Richardson. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Anthony Richardson hurt his hip, and then he came out for one play, and then Shane Steichen put him back in, did an RPO, and got his quarterback injured again.
Whoops.
Anyway, I think our coaching staff, starting with Nick Sirianni, has been one of the biggest issues on this team for the last year and a half. And when I hear Nick Sirianni making comments like, oh, I decided to go for it on fourth down because I'm aggressive, or I decided to do X, Y, or Z because this is who I am, I don't necessarily care about who you are. The great coaches understand that football is a situational game. You don't go for it on fourth down when you're down 2 points because you know that the other team might get the ball back and go up and score a field goal, right? You take the points and you force them to try to score a touchdown. Football is a situational game, and Nick Sirianni doesn't have that instinct in his mind to understand, like, okay, here's the situation I'm in. Maybe I shouldn't do this. The second piece is our misuse of this offense has been one of the biggest issues that I've had over the last year and a half.
Yep.
Saquon Barkley, this is according to Next Gen Stats, clocked in the fastest speed out of any NFL player. He clocked in 21.66 miles per hour. This was against the Saints. Guess who the 9th fastest player in the NFL is clocked?
Dallas Goedert.
20.19 miles per hour this man was clocked at. And yet
I'm
Unhook the trailer. Unhook the trailer.
Yeah, so I actually have a comment to Jordan Mailata if you're listening. Dallas Goedert's the 9th fastest man in the NFL as of week 3. Our coaching,
the poor Miami Dolphins, they have like 4 guys on their team
gosh.
that have run under like 4.3 or under 4.3 40s, and none of them can do a darn thing because their quarterback situation is completely crap. But anyway, back to
I think about the storied movie of Remember the Titans when Denzel Washington basically goes up to I can't remember the actor's name. All I remember is Bill Yost. Bill Yost, the defensive coordinator, goes up to him and he's like, if you don't start picking this up on defense, I'm going to take over play calling. And at the end of the movie, the dude recognizes he was out of his league and he's like, hey, I need help. What I'm seeing right now is Nick Sirianni just being his clown self on the sideline, not taking full accountability over what's being done. He's making the calls when the game matters the most, but when it comes to game time adjustments, like Vic Fangio, I think the Bucks had 129 yak yards, right? So if anyone doesn't understand, player catches the ball and they run for 129 yards in the totality of the game before they get tackled. They had 129 yak yards.
If you want to know what yak is, do not watch Zach Ertz.
Yeah,
not watch
opposite
Zach
of
Ertz.
Zach Ertz.
Zero
No yak,
career
Zach.
yak.
Yes. What our defensive game plan was going into the game, where our cornerbacks were lining up 9-10 yards off the line of scrimmage and allowing these receivers to catch balls 2 seconds after the ball was snapped, was a travesty in coaching, a travesty in game planning. I'm so sick and tired of this coaching staff basically not preparing this team week in and week out, and it shows. We are sleepwalking through the first 3 quarters of every single game before we finally wake up. What do you think?
Well, I think the biggest thing here is we don't have an identity. And I think that's one thing that you see a lot of great coaches. You think about Dan Campbell.
Hard work and accountability. That's all right.
But you look at the actual like team, and you can tell what offense you're seeing you have a Dan Gamble, you have a Mike Tomlin, you have the Andy Reid's, John Harbaugh. It's like you totally know exactly what you're getting yourself into. The Philadelphia Eagles don't have an identity. The only thing that the Philadelphia Eagles have in regards to Nick Sirianni is like he's a nice guy and that's it. It'd be really easy to go work for the nice guy. Now, in regards to the Bill Belichick thing, it's sexy. It's cool. I totally get it. His wins with Tom Brady is 249 to 75 losses, and without Tom Brady is 84 to 103. There's a lot to be said that maybe Tom Brady, who went on to the next year to win a Super Bowl with the Bucks, might just be one of the greatest quarterbacks ever.
And Mac Jones sucks.
What was that?
And Mac Jones sucked.
That's true.
Yeah, and Mac Jones I think was just Mac Jones, and they were able to do it. I like the Bill Belichick idea. I think it'd be cool. Like I would be pretty excited about it, but I don't think that it's going to fix everything. We just don't have an identity. We don't know who we are. We're not bringing Dougie P back, because last year as a Philadelphia Eagles head coach was 4-11-1. So sure, we can look at the last 11 games and be like, yeah, well, we lost all of them. When you're talking about a head coach that got us 2 playoff berths and a Super Bowl appearance, like it's so many other franchises would kill to be in the same exact position we are. Shoot, the Dallas Cowboys would kill to be in the position that we are, to at least say, hey, at least we got a Super Bowl appearance in the last 2 decades, and we have done that with Nick Sirianni. But he really does need to straighten it out. I don't know the answer into what it is. I also don't actually know what he does. Andrew, I needed you to call your buddy Jason Avant back and get him back on the podcast and actually get some insider information about what does he actually do. Apparently, Saquon Barkley went back to the locker room and said that he wishes, and this may have been a meme, so this may not even be real, but he said that he wishes Kellen got more control of the offense. So that means, if that is true, this is not like breaking news. I don't know if it's true or not that Kellen Moore doesn't have actual control of the offense, but that Nick's doing some sort of play calling or something to do with the scheme or something that's putting us in a position. To me, on the contrary, this doesn't look like a Kellen Moore run offense. This does not look like the explosive offense that we saw with him running with Dak Prescott. It looks totally the same as last year and just a continuation.
So you have Shane Steichen right now, who is with the Indianapolis Colts, who after maybe the silly decision to put Anthony Richardson back in the game, they leaned on Joe Flacco, who is 8 months younger than Anthony Richardson's mom. The Colts won that game. And who did the Colts play? The best defense in the NFL. They went against the Steelers, who were undefeated, and they beat the Colts. Let's take a drive. Why don't we take a drive over to Washington now, where we have former last year Eagles offensive coordinator Brian Johnson, who is now the offensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders.
He is not. It's Cliff Kingsbury.
Oh, sorry. Then what is Brian Johnson doing?
This is something that was circulating. He's a quarterbacks coach again, okay, which he was really successful when he did that here in Philadelphia too. But I get what you're getting into.
So, damn it, I wish he was. But you're right, it is Kingsbury.
I wish he was the offensive coordinator, and I wish him nothing but the best.
Who's Washington's head coach then? Is it Dan Quinn? Or?
Dan Quinn.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. Brian Johnson, whatever you're doing though. Jaden Daniels looks freaking incredible.
He does.
So, yeah, man. I think again, I'm going to go back to it's like the first quarter of the season. Like, let's just say preseason is now finally over. I hope Kellen Moore. I hope we can really start unlocking some things. Again, it's tough to judge the offense just based off of this game because of the lack of weapons that we were without our 2 Pro Bowl wide receivers, but. I want to start off on something. This is another question that I'm going to pose to both of you because I need a little help understanding just the idea, the mindset, and who to blame for this, honestly. So the Eagles win the toss, and we defer. We are on the road against the Bucks. We are a team that has not scored a single point in the first quarter this entire season.
And it's hot as balls.
Throw that into the mix.
Yeah.
Hotter.
Why are we against setting the tone of a football game? Why do we kick it off, especially when we're on the road, and you automatically are playing from behind? Your defense is not good enough to silence the crowd because you're shutting down the other team on the first drive. The Bucs absolutely marched down the field on the first drive. There was one lucky play where I forget who the defender was, did get a piece of the ball, and Rashad White, I think, ended up catching it, which hurt because that could have potentially shortened that drive. But against the Saints last week, they're the number one offense in the NFL, and you're in their building. It's the loudest building in the NFL. And rather than trying to take the crowd out of the game, you give them the ball with an opportunity to score right off the bat, and then you're automatically playing catch-up. And guys, what happens when you're already playing catch-up? You don't run the ball on first down. And guess what? They didn't do that at all the entire first half. But then in the second half, when we got the ball, we ran the ball on first down, the very first play. And what happened? Saquon took off for 60 yards. I really don't understand. That's where I'm just like, are these guys just not smart? Because to me, a good coaching decision would be to let's set the tone in somebody else's building. We're struggling in the first quarter. We need to do something different to try to change the outcome. But instead, they keep following the same formula, and it's not working. So do the analytics say it that much that you should get the ball at halftime? Because we don't even know how to get the ball back at halftime because we'll go on fourth down and not kick a field goal anyway, even though we're getting the ball at halftime.
Ali, answer that question. I'm going to look into that second half stat.
All right. Here's my take, Drew. We are the city of Philadelphia. We are the city of Rocky. Rocky is known to get pummeled right from the beginning, get his face bashed in. He comes back. He fights back.
Down 24-0 in the first quarter.
Down 24-0, takes a beating, and in the end, Rocky loses in the first movie. That's actually a
Spoiler
very
alert.
on brand. That is very on brand for the city of Philadelphia. I don't necessarily have an answer for you as far as what the analytics show us and as far as setting the tone. I do think that this coaching staff has lost the locker room. I do think this coaching staff has lost the quarterback just based on his interview post-game when reporters were asking him what he and his head coach's plan was going into the bye week, what they plan on talking about, if they plan on talking, and then Jalen Hurts responds with a brief, "We have our moments." That is Jalen Hurts unable to contain himself anymore. For anyone who knows Jalen Hurts and his inability to express any emotion, the dude looks like he doesn't want to be anywhere he is. I'm sure on his wedding day, he's going to have a face that is just like, I don't want to be here. And inside, he's just going to be super excited, but his face is just going to say, I don't want to be here. Jalen Hurts says, we have our moments, which to me tells me that he is not on a personal one-on-one sort of give and take with his head coach, and that is a problem. I'm convinced that this team no longer respects Nick Sirianni. I'm convinced Jalen Hurts doesn't respect Nick Sirianni, and honestly, I'm convinced that after last year, this coaching staff may have broken Jalen Hurts. And Alex, it looks like you've pulled up the stat here, but while you're doing that, I'm going to pull something up as kind of an example of why I think Jalen Hurts' head is broken.
Who broke Jalen's head?
Do you have the stat, Alex?
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of different things to be said about it. It looks like if you're an underdog team, you actually have a worse opportunity. You want to set the tone early, and better teams do. It does boil down to possessions, and it looks like there's a 12% chance of you having an extra possession if you defer and get the ball back at half with the way that the clock management and everything goes. So analytics will say that most teams that win the toss defer. It was done, I think, 264 times and only 21 times last season. Team decided to return. So it's deferring is really kind of the way that you go about it.
Well, while you're at it, can you just look up what percentage of teams don't score a single damn point in the first quarter of their first 4 games?
Or have 0 yards to the Bucs 255 yards.
Golly.
It's insane.
Well, here's the end of the Falcons game when Jalen Hurts threw the interception. And some could argue that Jalen Hurts took a risk that he didn't need to, but In 2022, Jalen Hurts had 8 interceptions, and since the 2023 campaign to this past game on Sunday, he's turned the ball over 27 times. Actually looked up this stat. There is a very dark comparison that I could make for Jalen Hurts to Carson Wentz the year that he got benched.
Oof.
That year, Carson Wentz had 7 total touchdowns, both passing and rushing. This year, Jalen Hurts has 6 touchdowns. That year, Carson Wentz had 8 total turnovers. So far, Jalen Hurts has 7 total turnovers. And the last piece is Carson Wentz took 14 sacks and Jalen Hurts took 13 sacks so far. Say what you want, but I do think that while I think Jalen Hurts is much more strong-minded than Carson Wentz, I do think that this coaching situation...
It's such a mean thing to say about somebody.
Dude, Carson Wentz has one of the weakest minds I've ever seen.
Yeah,
right? Like as soon as he saw any type of criticism, he just folded. He buckled under the pressure. I don't think Jalen Hurts is like that. I think he's gone through too much adversity in his college career to allow this to affect him. But I'm gonna play this, right? This is the last play of the game against the Falcons. What you've got here going on is Jahan Dotson at the bottom of the screen. You've got Dallas Goedert in the middle here. You've got Britton Covey, and you've got Devontae Smith. Now Devontae Smith is running this like post corner route or whatever. Like he kind of like shades into the inside of the field here before he finally cuts it to the outside. Mm-hmm. I would consider it a post corner.
Also, at this point in time, there are 27 seconds left, and the Eagles have 1 timeout. They only need to get into field goal range, and we're at right around the 45-yard line.
Correct. Dallas Goedert runs this like he motions a little bit, and then he comes back and runs kind of this short route right here. Jahan Dotson is similar route, and then Britton Covey basically runs a 15-yard in route, right? So I'm just going to press play here, and then we'll see what happens as this play unfolds, right? So
do I have to?
Yes. So the play continues, and as we continue here, the ball gets snapped by Jalen Hurts, and the players start running the play as I just called it, right? So Jalen Hurts throws this ball, and what you'll see is the cornerback that was on Devontae Smith the entire time had pretty much outside leverage the entire time, right? He pretty much what that means is he was in between Devontae Smith and the sideline. Now, normally when a quarterback makes that kind of read, a route that is going towards the sideline is pretty unattractive because the cornerback has the outside leverage. He's got the ability to cut in and make the interception. What I find really mind-boggling here is that as this play unfolds, one guy is wide open, and it's Britton Covey. And this is what frustrates me so far about Jalen Hurts throughout this first 4 games of the year.
Where's Britton Covey on this? It looks a little pixelated, Ali.
He is this guy right here that's running on the 40-yard line right here, right? What you've got on the other side of him is you've got the safety who's coming in to make the interception, and you've got the cornerback who had pretty much outside leverage the entire route that Devontae Smith ran. If Jalen Hurts is able to make this pass, this is not only a first down, but this is getting into field goal range because
with a timeout and 23 seconds left, you're comfortably.
But even if you
don't comfortable there,
even if you don't take a timeout, like you know how Madden, like when you throw the ball, the AI just like automatically knows where the ball is and just like shifts over and tries to make the tackle. I'm thinking about like DK Metcalf, that play that he did where he just kept running as if he was about to catch the ball and the cornerback was just running after him, not realizing it was a run play behind him. That was just, this is how cornerbacks and defensive backs play, right? If Jalen Hurts had thrown this ball to Britton Covey, this cornerback on Devontae Smith is a non-factor, and Britton Covey is catching this ball at the 40-yard line, likely at least getting to the 30-yard line, which is well within Jake Elliott's range.
We're getting out of bounds.
Or getting out of bounds. My frustration, and you look at this throughout the entire 4 games that Jalen Hurts has played this season, is that he kind of predetermines where he wants the ball to go. and he's not following his progressions. And this is a stark difference from our 2022 campaign, Jalen Hurts, where you could see him going through his progressions, looking to his left and just progressively going towards his right before finding the open man, making the right read and making the right throw. I think this coaching staff last year broke Jalen Hurts from the sense that they pretty much told him that running is no longer part of his game, which is a terrible, terrible thing to do. Granted, he got a lot of money, so you've got to protect your asset. But to me, Jalen Hurts is not playing like he's supposed to be. And when you pay a guy as much as you have with Jalen Hurts, you expect him to elevate talent around him, kind of like last week when he was without Devontae Smith, he was without A.J. Brown. So guys like Patrick Mahomes, guys like Tom Brady knew how to elevate the talent that was on their team. Jalen Hurts doesn't have the ability to do that. And in my opinion, it's because of this coaching staff. The dude needs therapy or something, man. Like he needs to get his brain unbroken.
Wow.
And there's also another set. I'm trying to find where it ranks, but I think it's like number 1 or 2. He also holds on to the ball the longest too, right? And that league average is 2.5 seconds. Anything before 2.5 seconds is considered a quick pass, and everything after that is considered I don't know if it's like improvised or whatever they call it. But that's also a big problem too, Ali, because I don't know if he predetermines his routes. And I think he's so freaking predictable. And this whole trying to script chaos thing just isn't working. I mean, did you see that Seahawks game last night? Did you see how good Geno Smith looked in both instances? When he had to get the ball out on time, when he was getting pressure and he still would manage to get the ball out on a screen pass, when he did have to script chaos and how he navigated the pocket, that looks like both of those quarterbacks looked absolutely elite in comparison to Jalen Hurts. Jared Goff looked incredible on the money. He went 18 for 18 last night without a single incompletion. I mean, I look around the league and I'm like, I look at all these teams and maybe it just I'm biased and maybe I'm just super critical, but no other quarterback looks like Jalen Hurts. I mean, Brock Purdy, say what you will about the 49ers. He is the system. Everything revolves around the timing and him getting balls out before receivers break their routes. And this whole unscripted chaos mess that Jalen Hurts is running is just absolutely not working. Absolutely not working.
You're missing one thing. These teams established the run, but nobody better than the Lions. That two-headed monster of Montgomery and Gibbs is.
You see that play from Montgomery last night, dude?
Both of them are awesome. And even with San Francisco, no McCaffrey, no worries. Like, give it to Jordan Mason, my man. He's still getting the ball 20 times a game. They're not abandoning the run just because they don't have Christian McCaffrey. They are staying. So it's like the Eagles, like that is where you've had the most success. So I get it. The Eagles were down early. It's going to be tough for Saquon to get 20 carries, but to finish a game with 10 carries, because every single game in the first quarter, he's barely touching the ball. And why is that? Because they're getting down early. And then Jalen, the first play that they ran, I mean, he actually had Saquon open on like a wheel route and just missed him. Jalen threw the ball out of bounds, but it's a stupid play. And then on second down, we'll run the ball, get nothing, set us up for 3rd and long, draw up a play that doesn't get us past the sticks, and yet we as fans just have to, cool, yeah, third and 9, I got to watch us throw a 6-yard pass and give it right back to a team that just absolutely carved us up. And what really pisses me off about, and I can't even blame Jalen for this, I don't know who to blame, but it's how annoying is it that, like, what did we hear about Jalen Hurts this entire offseason? It took until like the last day of training camp or the last day of practice before he threw an interception.
Yep.
Yet all he's doing this year is turning the ball over.
Human slot machine.
So that's why, like, you can't take anything out of preseason or the offseason. It's like I gotta see it. I gotta see it in real time, because right now, like, to your point, Alex, he holds, like, it is infuriating how long he holds onto the ball, and even I don't think he has the ability to get rid of the ball. Like, once he finds his guy, his mechanics take too long, and that was something that I felt like that was an issue with Wentz too. Wentz had like that weird like cock of the arm stupid cock arm. And like, how many times would he get hit from behind and fumble the ball? And like, now we're seeing it from Hurts. It's like the amount of time it's taken for him to wind up. Like Aaron Rodgers, this dude, like, just like flick of the wrist and he gets the ball out of his hands. Like, I know everyone's not Aaron Rodgers, but like, these are things that stop Jalen from being elite. And that's why we know we can't expect him to be necessarily this MVP caliber player, but if he can just play smart football and just like go through his progressions and get rid of the ball quick, we can have plenty of success. So like, we really have to hold, like, we're talking about accountability. Once we have, AJ and Devontae back, like, we got to see some major improvement here, because otherwise it's like the bet, like, his best days might be behind him, and I really don't want to believe that.
So let me pose this question to you guys. We saw Jalen Hurts in the 2022 campaign, and he looked like the MVP frontrunner. Do you guys think that was a fluke season?
I don't, because he looked amazing in the Super Bowl. Like, I can't get past that. Like, he balled out in the Super Bowl. It was a really unfortunate loss. The only thing, like, the only bad thing was he had the fumble, which was like a good play by the defender. So
it wasn't even a good play by the defender. He just dropped it.
Did he just drop the ball?
Yeah, it wasn't an unforced fumble.
Okay. Yeah. Well, but other than that, so I don't know, man. I don't like. I truly think that so much is about confidence, and you can just like with so many quarterbacks too. Like the quarterbacks that just kind of like struggle earlier in the career, you can see their confidence is just shot. And now here you have like Geno Smith years later after being terrible on the New York Jets, which who isn't? But like now this guy's having success. Baker Mayfield, I think went
Jared
to the
Goff,
Jared Goff, all these guys. So so much is about like building momentum and like gaining confidence. And like, I felt bad for Hurts because all those, like, 2022 was the first year that he had like the same coordinator for like back-to-back seasons, like all throughout college or whatever. And now I guess we're like back to, it's not, he's having different coordinators, different coaches every year. So I don't know, man. I really like, I don't think it was a fluke, but I don't know how he gets his mojo back.
Yeah. And again, it's just like, and now it's just starting to impact some of these big moments. Because I remember even on his run last year, I mean, the end of the season kind of imploded. But I remember if like the Eagles were down by one possession and it came to a last possession touch by us, we were going to, like, we felt pretty confident we were going to win that game. And more times than not, we didn't. But even on Sunday, we were down 14 after the blocked field goal, like you mentioned, Andrew. And I had a little bit of hope for a second, a little bit of hope. It was a 2-possession game in the fourth quarter. I'm like, oh, we got this. Like, we can totally do this. I can't believe that we're going to be talking about an Eagles W again, and then the fumble in the pocket. And then I even saw a breakdown of that play too, Ali, and it's like they were going to throw it to Greg Calcaterra on a streak route. I mean, it wasn't going to be anything special. It wasn't like he was holding out and waited for like this miraculous play and he's open. So the only thing I can really hope is, besides week 1, we had a fully healthy offense. No, we had him in week 2. Did we have AJ against the
Nah, just week 1.
Just week 1. So let's just hope the injuries come back after the bye. We have bigger problems to talk about the defense. I don't even know where to talk about the defense.
I mean, let me throw this out there. AJ says once Jalen can quiet the noise and pressure in his head, he'll come back to 2022 form. He hasn't been the same since that Super Bowl fumble. Yeah, I don't think the Super Bowl fumble is really the thing that's causing Jalen Hurts, the mental block.
It's crooked hairline.
It is his crooked hairline. That's a huge piece of it. Like,
it is.
I don't know if
he needs a new barber.
I don't know if I could perform at that high of a level if that's how my hairline looked. Like, that is constantly what I'm thinking about. I'm not thinking about throwing a football. But on top of that, I do think that we did see a shift in how he approaches the game, which is being super safe with how he runs the football. Mm-hmm. Not being sort of like decisive, trusting his instincts. He holds on to the ball way too long, like you said, Drew. I think Jalen Hurts is not doing well from this coaching staff. But as far as the defense is concerned, Philadelphia has given up the second highest explosive plays on defense than any other team in the NFL through 4 games this season. Our offense is number 9 in total explosive plays, which is kind of surprising, but really not because
Thank you, Saquon.
we're able to move the football. But again, our defense is just Swiss cheese. I don't get it. And the Buccaneers knew exactly what they were doing. They did not have any intention of running the football against our team on Sunday. They knew they were going to pass the ball. They knew they were going to pass it at will. The only silver lining that I will say that is kind of a bright spot in all of this is guess who the number 1 and number 2 teams defense in allowing explosive plays are 4 games in the season.
The Chiefs?
Atlanta is number 1.
Oof.
And Tampa Bay is number 2.
Oof.
So if we do want to look for a silver lining, we did go up against a couple of top defenses in the NFL the last 2 weeks. And the latest one, we didn't have a majority of our weapons on the outside. We didn't have our all-pro right tackle who, Alex, I remember last year when you looked at the stats for when Lane Johnson starts versus when he doesn't, it is a pretty stark difference. We got to figure that piece out when it comes to what the future looks like for our right tackle position because Black Lane Johnson may not be cutting it that well.
Black Lane Johnson.
Also known as Fred.
Yeah. Well, before we get off the QB comparison chart, here is one thing too. And the thing I love about statistics is you can change any narrative to fit exactly what you're saying. If we look at Jalen Hurts in comparison to Patrick Mahomes this season, they both have a 68% completion. Jalen Hurts has thrown for 24 more yards than Patrick Mahomes. They both have 6 total touchdowns. Jalen only has 4 interceptions to Mahomes' 6. Wow. And Mahomes has a slightly higher quarterback rating at 89.7 and 85.7 for Jalen Hurts. What are you people doing coming up with these graphics? The only thing that matters in the NFL is wins and losses. We're not looking at quarterback rating. We're not looking at completion percentages. We are looking at, are you winning games or are you not winning games? Because there is a ton of Kirk Cousins junk time that I can go back and show you that Kirk Cousins is an absolutely elite quarterback.
Garbage
and
time.
how he throws for 4,000 yards every single year. It's because most of it is in junk time. Stop making graphics like this. Stop putting this out there. It is stupid. The Eagles are 2-2. We get our weapons back after bye, but don't share this stuff and do not ever compare Jalen Hurts to a Patrick Mahomes that's winning right now.
You know what I think the Eagles need to do? Like, you remember like in the Mighty Ducks where they ditch like the green,
they're all gonna
and
quack.
The yellow.
Quack.
Start quacking.
Quack.
I'm
Ducks
definitely
quack
down.
together.
Definitely
Quack.
down for
Quack.
a group quack.
Fun fact about
But wait,
the
I'm
Mighty
not done
Ducks.
yet. Hold on a second.
Go ahead.
They shed those like the green and the yellow, and then they get the new and improved like the teal and the purple. The Eagles, I feel like everything started going to garbage after the last time we wore the Kelly green jerseys against the Bills. Why not just start just wearing them every game? Like at the very least, like looking good is feeling good, and we know that this team needs to feel good right now because there's not a lot to feel good about. So I think if they just bring back the Kelly green unis and just make it a full-time thing, boom, success.
Fun fact about the Mighty Ducks is that it was shot in Minnesota, and it was actually shot in the ice rink that my daughter practices ice skating at 5 days a week. Also, a fun fact about the Mighty Ducks is that it was a movie, and changing uniforms isn't going to be the reason why you win and lose. So,
Wow, cool. Well, thanks for just bringing me back to reality.
All right. Well, we do not have a game next week or this weekend upcoming, which is probably good news for us. Honestly, I'm really excited for the bye week. I think we were all upset about a week 5 bye, but I'm actually really excited for it. We're not doing good on the swinging it front. I actually put not a good bet, but a more than I would, typically put on for the Rams to beat the Bears.
I tried to warn you. I
felt that was a pretty safe bet, and we lost.
Yeah, I
then
told you.
override me next time, Drew. Then
I
work
tried
at one of these
and
places.
I couldn't
Just tell
because Drees was on the same page as you, and you said 2 is better than 1. I couldn't. There's nothing I could do. Ali, you weren't here, so
2 is
you
better
couldn't
than
talk them out of it.
Yeah. So we need to look at a swing and a pick this week. And if we lose again, maybe we're just going to ditch the whole swing and a thing and just never do it anymore because I am not going to be on the hook for somebody else's degenerate habits. Brian Fye, if you're listening, that was not directed at you. So we do have a few upcoming games. Dude, what is up with the Falcons again getting another primetime game on Thursday? They're getting so many primetime games. What happened?
Captain Kirk, man. He might be elite. He might be elite.
I can show you the stats. And say that. The Buccaneers actually open up as an underdog. That's an interesting one.
I am liking the Bengals at home against the Ravens. The Bengals are currently +3. And so the Ravens are supposed to be good. They just blew out the Bills. The Bengals just got their first win of the year because they played the Carolina Panthers. You're telling me they're only getting 3 at home against the Ravens? They're trying to get back in. They're going to start going on a run. They started off 0-4. They just got their first win. They're going to start catching up now.
I already know what Ali is going to pick. Ali, are you looking at the spreads right now?
I'm looking at the spreads.
He's going to go with the Cardinals. Yeah, that's exactly.
Absolutely.
He's going to go Cardinals against 49ers, and we're going to be stupid if we don't pick that.
You know, I do feel like Cardinals it's like death taxes and Cardinals swinging a pick against the 49ers.
Yeah, I think that has to be the pick.
I can't wait for the Bengals to win.
They're in San Francisco, though, so I don't know if... And I usually pick the Cardinals. I like picking the Cardinals against the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I am looking at historical stats here. There have been a list of 62 teams since the Eagles and 49ers joined the list these last couple of seasons. And since 1990, 62 teams that have started 5-0. Right now, we are sitting at the Kansas City Chiefs, playing on Monday Night Football, playing against the New Orleans Saints. And we have the Minnesota Vikings playing the New York Jets. I don't necessarily see the Minnesota Vikings. Is there another undefeated team? No, that's it, right? Seahawks lost. The Bills lost.
Mm-hmm.
There are no more undefeated teams.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not big on the New York Jets beating the Minnesota Vikings. I do find the New Orleans Saints at the Kansas City Chiefs pretty intriguing. I also find the Arizona Cardinals at the 49ers pretty intriguing as well. So I'm between the Saints and the Cardinals.
I like the Chiefs to lose.
That can make for some Monday night fun. I'm here for it.
Monday night fun. Cool. All right, swinging a pick this week. Chiefs lose. Ali, Drew, argue over who's sending us home.
Ali, it's you just
we miss you, bud. It's been a while.
I want to hear your voice as much as I can.
Well, you get to hear it on this new microphone I have. Thanks for joining us, guys. This has been episode 88. The NFL is a week-to-week league. It is a quarter-to-quarter league. This bye could not have come fast enough, soon enough. I think as we look back at this season, this is going to be an inflection point. Whether or not we were able to right our wrongs, make peace with our demons, and move forward and find a way to win given the circumstances that we're currently in, or we're going to look back at this moment and see that, hey, this is the moment that we realized we needed a new coaching staff and we cleaned house. Either way, I think this is going to be a positive moment that we look back on and say this was the reason why the Philadelphia Eagles got better. With that, I'll send us home. Thanks for winging it with us. I'm Ali. He's Andrew. He's Alex. This has been episode 88, and we'll see you next week.
Go Birds.